Hey guys, Augiesaint here, and as you can see from the intro, Lepic is still melting bosses in seconds. Is very strong against all the bossing. The way I have mine set up is to go like full on glass cannon, which is how I think you should have your Lepic set up anyway, because you want to play to your Descendant strength, and Lepic's strength is by far his bossing potential. However, if you do want to have a mobbing setup, I have like a half built mobbing setup that I will share with you guys in the video, but I'm mainly going to be focusing on my boss melting build, as I have really built my Lepic as a boss glass cannon kind of character. So either you kill the boss or he kills you. There's no in the middle. There's no sustained. There's no, being ethical. This is totally unethical. As much damage as we can squeeze in and just going for the one-shot burst. But without further ado, let's hop into the setup. I will have timestamps down below, so if you guys want to skip ahead to the components or the mods or whatever it is you want to see, I will be covering everything and there will be timestamps down below. So firstly, let's have a look at my mods. Now this is my build that I am running right now, and I've tried so many different variants. I know there is a different variant we can get up to like 16 or 17 shots. I'll have to change a lot of my stuff, and then the shots are actually less damage overall. So with the way I have this set up, I usually get around 14 shots out of my ult, and they're doing as much damage as I can get them to do. So this is the way I like to build it. So let's have a look at the Descendant mod, Firearm Master. And this one is pretty important, as reloading weapon increases your skill range. That's not the greatest thing, although I usually do that in the beginning just to get that little bit of increased range, because it increases the range, the AoE radius of your ball, as well as like how far the ball can travel. And then changing weapon increases skill power. That's the most important part about the mod, because when you change over to your ultimate, it's actually counting as a weapon. So you are switching your weapon and you are gaining that massive skill power increase. And then we move over to our attack mod, Maximize Power. Now this is giving you a ton of skill power modifier. Obviously the cooldown is not the greatest, because it's going to increase your ult's cooldown by 50%. But usually with this build, you unload completely. If the boss is not dead, you go and jump off the map, kill yourself, reset, and then do it again. But that's just the life of the Lepic boom. So then moving on to our crit mods. Now we have pretty much all the crit mods, as crit is like the biggest way to boost your damage on this. You do have quite a fair amount of crit, I believe like 46%, close to 50%. And then obviously stacking as much crit damage as you can just increases your damage even further. So we have front lines, we have emergency measures, and then we have skill insight, as well as skill concentration for all the crit mods on the build. And then we have a look at fire sanctium. Now this mod slot is kind of like you can put whatever you want there. It's a very small boost of power that you will gain there. And I did play around with this mod, changing in for MP and skill cost reduction kind of mods, messing around, and I just couldn't get more than my 14 shots. So I didn't feel like it was necessary, as I was just pretty much wasting that mod slot if I'm not going to gain actual increase in shots, which is the MP and the skill cost is why you would run that. And that's how I ended on Fire Sanctium with the increased fire skill power. And you also do have that 15% critical hit resistance. So instead of, maybe getting one shot by the boss, you'll get two shot by the boss. And then we move over to skill extension. This is going to increase the duration of your ult, because the way your ult works is it has a duration as well as an MP cost. So if you can get the duration up, you can shoot for as long as the duration is up and for as much MP as you have. That's why you want to kind of like have a good duration, and also you need a lot of MP to pull this off. And the way we have our build set up with our mods, we can get 14 shots without MP and our duration. Moving on to MP accelerant, here again we have skill duration and max MP. Now this one is pretty important to maintain, like I just said, the duration and the MP. Without this, you won't be able to get the 14 shots. I believe I was up to like 12 shots with this one, so definitely worth putting this mod on there. And for our battle mod, we are running Fire Specialist with a 81% increase on your fire skill power. Now I believe the maximized skill might actually give you more value, and since we are building for this cooldown, I just haven't actually gone around to try this out, because I would have to put another catalyst on it, and the build just works as it is for me. But if you are trying to really min-max and squeeze out even more damage, you could change Fire Specialist to this. I have not tested it, but I believe it will end up being more, as when you max this out, it's pretty much similar to this one with like the 90 something percent increase on your skill power, with then obviously the skill cooldown as well. And it is a battle mod, so you can put it alongside the maximized power mod. And then last but not least, we have Dangerous Ambush. This is going to give you a ton of extra damage, especially when the bosses go down. You will be doing 49.8% increase modifier to your skill power, so that's a massive amount of damage. And also when they are not aiming at you, you'll gain the 24.9%. So overall, it's just a massive damage increase, and you can't really drop this one. But then one last thing about the mods, you can actually switch out MP accelerant for spear and shield if you want slightly more damage on your shots, but then you will be like 1 or 2 shots down. I believe I maxed out at about 12 shots without MP accelerant, and then with MP accelerant on, I got up to 14 shots. So it's up to you if you want to have more shots that hit for a tiny little bit less, or if you want to have less shots that hit for a little bit more. So you can switch around there with spear and shield. And Spear and Shield is better than Iron Defense, even though that says a 12% boost. This is a skill power modifier, whereas this is a skill power flat modifier. So this one does work better for how we have this all set up. But this is the way I like to run it with MP Accelerant, and this right here is exactly how I did all the bosses in the intro. And now let's have a quick look at the mobbing build. Now this is not really the greatest mobbing build. It does have good range on it. It doesn't have any cooldown mods, as like all of the sockets don't match. But if you actually leveled this up, you might be able to fit a cooldown mod over there like Nimble Fingers or something to then boost your cooldown just a little bit, so you can actually get stuff like your grenade back. But with this increased efficiency mod, it turns your ultimate into like there's no duration on it. The only thing with this is you'll be consuming MP for your shots, but then with this, when you crit, you will get MP restored. And obviously we do have all the crit mods on here, so your crit chance will be pretty high alongside MP collect. You should be able to stay in this for a very long time. It all depends on how often you crit to restore your MP, so you can just keep shooting shots with that. So this is what I would go for if I was going to do like a AoE build. Maybe change it up a little bit and get increased MP as well as duration. I don't think you need all the damage, so you could drop both of these just for that damage loss. But just make sure you do keep the crit mods, and then the range mod does feel nice because it increases the range of the AoE. So now let's have a look at our component set. This is very important. The stats on these, we'll be running the Slayer set. Now you want to try and get as much MP stuff on these as possible, but the most important is to get max MP increase on the sensor. You need to have around 385 MP from testing is what you need to get minimum to actually hit all your shots. But just keep that in mind, you really want to get max MP over there. And then if you could also, on top of the max MP, you can actually roll MP recovery in combat. I just have not gotten a better one, so just have a look out for that. Max MP and MP recovery on that is best in slot. And then on your auxiliary power, you want to try and get that MP recovery out of combat. This is not such a big issue if you do have max MP, so you have that blanket like I said before. This basically just helps it for your little intro in the beginning, which I'll show you guys in a sec how to do the rotation. And then the bottom two, I believe one of these has a MP recovery modifier. I can't remember which one. Just try and go for that, but it doesn't really matter. As you can see, I have firearm and defense on this one, max shield and shield on this one, and this is the set that I have used in all of my bossing. Now let's have a quick look at our reactor. Now the best reactor is actually going to be an impact rounds reactor, because we'll be using an impact rounds weapon for some mods that I'll talk about in a second. So that's why the best in slot would be trying to get one for impact rounds like I have for my Naziestra's Devotion in the background. And then the best stats for this would be skill crit hit damage, and then additional attack when hitting a Colossus. We have tried fire tech, skill boost ratio. We've tried all kinds of different combinations, crit hit chance, crit hit damage. And this is by far the biggest increase in damage, because you could go skill critical hit and then hit damage, but you'll be losing out on a little bit of damage because of how the scaling works with the attacking Colossus. It just adds so much damage to all your shots, and then the critical hit damage is going to increase the ceiling of your damage, where if you could go with critical hit rate just until you get something like this, but even if you had lower rolls, I would say this is still going to be better than anything else you can get. So crit hit damage and additional attacking while Colossus. And now let's move over to our weapon. Like I said, you want to have the impact rounds to match your reactor, because impact rounds has the best sharp precision shot mod. It's got the best scaling out of all the others, the general rounds and all the different rounds. And this does actually affect your ultimate, because it counts as a weapon and it takes this mods from your weapon like a stat stick. And these are the only two mods you need to worry about on the weapon. You can drop everything else. You only need the fire rate up and the sharp precision shot. Now let me cover the rotation for you guys, as it is very specific on how to actually maximize your damage. So first thing I like to do while running up to the boss is shoot a random shot. Now the reason I do this is because when we reload with the Transcendent mod, we get the increased skill range. You do not need to worry about this, but I just like to do it since it is free range, and I mean we're not doing anything else while we're waiting for the boss to spawn in. So you fire one shot off, you're getting ready to reload, because the buff only comes after reloading. But as the boss is spawning in and touching down, the first thing you want to do is activate your overclock, as this gives you a massive skill power boost modifier, as well as it has the longest duration out of your buffs. So you do that, and then you want to reload, and then you go straight into your ult. And when you hit your ult, you're going to roll. So let me show you guys how that all works. So now the boss has landed, and he's just about to become targetable. You can see he's like doing his movement. So what you want to do then is you want to reload, and then you want to hit your ult. And then you see the mana will regen, and then you will roll, and then you just start shooting. And make sure when you are shooting to hold down your shoot. As you can see, it increases the fire rate. But if you stop shooting and you shoot in between, it's not going to increase your fire rate, because it won't be proccing that mod from the pistol. So that is the rotation. Obviously, you want to do it a little bit faster than what I did. Let me show you guys another demonstration. So you want to get everything ready. I fire one shot. I run up to the boss. The boss is spawning in. I hit my C. The boss's feet is touched. He's about to become targetable. I reload. I hit my ult, wait for the regen, roll, and then we go and start shooting. Now the reason we roll is to just skip the animation, otherwise you'll be wasting precious seconds on your ult with not skipping the animation behind it. It's not too complicated, but it is very specific, and make sure that you do wait for your MP to regen so that you have all your shots available to you. That's why I said it is so important to get that maximum MP on your component, as it just gives you more wiggle room there so you can actually get all your shots. I believe about 380, 390 is the minimum MP you want to aim for. But that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully you guys found it helpful. If you did, please drop a like and a sub to the channel. We are so close to 10,000 subs. We'll be streaming right after this video goes live as well, so come drop on by at twitch.tv/Augiesaint. I'd love to see you guys there. If you have any questions, ask them down below in the comments, or come ask me on the streams. I'm always there. So I will catch you guys in the live stream as well as the next video. Augiesaint out.
Run free and dive into the sky. Hear the wind crying